So good morning once again, dear students of class 11, and let's continue from page 70 of the Tempest. As you can see on your screen, we had finished in our last video tutorial up to page 69, and today let's continue from page 70. So please open your textbooks and please follow as I try to explain line by line. Now Caliban says, "Do not torment me, prithee, I'll bring my wood home faster." What he means to say is that don't trouble me, don't cause trouble to me, don't punish me, don't put me into pain, don't put me into difficulty, or don't cause me to suffer. I promise to bring the wood from the wilderness faster. He's thinking, what Caliban is thinking is that these are spirits troubling him because Prospero must have sent his spirits because he is late in bringing in the firewood. So he says, I promise I will bring in the wood faster, so please don't trouble me. Now Stefano says he is in his fit now and does not talk after the wisest. This monster is suffering from kind of fit, and that's why he is not talking in a manner which should be wiser. So this is not wisdom that this monster is showing. This monster is not really talking with logic and wisdom. He shall taste of my bottle, and he decides that he'll give this monster a drink. So he says that he must taste the drink in my bottle. If he have never drunk wine afore, will go near to remove his fit. So if he has never consumed wine before in his life, then this wine is going to relieve him. This wine is going to remove this fit or this present condition that he is suffering from. He will be relieved from it. If I can recover him and keep him tame, I will not take too much for him. So he says, if I am able to recover this fellow, this creature, if I can make him recover from his fit of whatever disease he is suffering from, whatever fever or whatever he is having, then I will not, he says, I will not take too much for him. In other words, no price will be too high for him. The meaning is explained alongside, you can see. So I am going to take this creature. His plan is to take Caliban all the way to Naples, and he can possibly sell Caliban at a very high price. So this is what he is planning to do. He shall pay for him that hath him, and that soundly. So the person who buys him will have to pay a good amount of money, and that too thoroughly or absolutely. So whatever I ask for will be paid for this monster. So Caliban, thou dost me yet but little hurt, thou wilt anon, I know it by the trembling. Now Prosper works upon thee. Now what is happening is that under his cloak, Caliban has Trinculo, and outside he has Stefano standing over him with a bottle in his hand, and he wants to pour some drink into Caliban's mouth. In the meantime, you can imagine that Trinculo is shuffling under the cloak, and so Caliban is remarking that you are not really hurting me, but I know that you are going to hurt me very soon. Anon means very soon. So though you are not hurting me right now, I can understand that you are planning to do it, and it won't be long, it won't be very long before you really injure me or hurt me or cause me pain. I can make it out from the trembling that you are right now shivering or trembling. I can feel the tremble, and I know that Prospero's charm, Prosper means Prospero, Caliban calls Prospero Prosper. So Prospero's charm is actually working upon you. So you are trembling, and it won't be very long before you will actually hurt me. So trembling is a sign of being possessed by a spirit. So I am sure that you are possessed by some kind of spirit or some kind of charm which has been cast upon you by Prospero. You have been sent here to trouble me, to torment me, and you have not yet hurt me, but you are trembling, and from your trembling I can make out that you are under the influence of Prospero. So this is what Caliban says. Now Stefano says, come on your ways, open your mouth. Here is that which will give language to you. He says, come on now, open your mouth. Come on your ways means just come on. Just like we say, come on. Come on now, open your mouth. This is the drink which will give you proper language. Have a sip. Take the drink. And then you will start talking like you should. Then he says, cat, open your mouth. This will shake your shaking. I can tell you, and that soundly. This will relieve you from the fever which is causing you to tremble. Now what are we seeing? Actually we are seeing someone lying on the ground, covered with a cloak, and he's shaking from time to time. But who is exactly shaking? Caliban is commenting that he is under the influence of a spirit who is under his cloak, who has not yet hurt him. So that spirit is shaking, and that spirit is none other but Trinculo. According to Caliban, he is a spirit, but he is not a spirit. We know very well that it is Trinculo. But because Trinculo is under Caliban's cloak, the overall impact of his trembling is something like everything under the cloak is trembling, which means Caliban included. So Stefano, who is drunken himself and who sees the trembling cloak, imagines that Caliban is trembling because he is suffering from some kind of fever or some kind of disease. So he thinks that if he pours alcohol into the mouth of Caliban, then it will relieve him from this kind of disease or this kind of fever or this kind of trembling. So that is why he's saying, open your mouth, I'll pour something into your mouth and it will relieve you. You will be free from this shaking. I can tell you, and that soundly. And he gives Caliban drink. Now something magical happens. Caliban, who has never tasted wine before in his entire life, has tasted something which he immediately starts liking. So Stefano continues. He says, you cannot tell who's your friend. Open your chaps again. Open your jaws again. You cannot tell who is your friend. It's not easy to say who is exactly your friend. Now here, I am acting like your friend. Now open your mouth again. I'll pour some more drink into your mouth. And he makes Caliban drink a second time. Trinculo, in the meantime, says, I should know that voice. It should be, but he is drowned. And these are devils. Oh, defend me. So Trinculo thinks that he knows the voice. Whose voice? Stefano's voice. Of course, it is Stefano. But Trinculo has this idea that Stefano must have died by drowning. Trinculo was wandering alone in this island, and Trinculo was under the impression that he is the only survivor of the shipwreck. And Stefano is speaking to Caliban, and Trinculo is under Caliban's cloak, and he can hear the voice of Stefano, and he says to himself, I think I know that voice. But how is it possible? He is supposed to be dead. That means these are devils. Oh my goodness. I must be under the influence of some devils. Right now, devils are around me. So he thinks of Caliban as a devil, and he thinks of Stefano also as a devil. Oh, defend me. Therefore, he prays to God, oh God, oh heavens above, please protect me from these devils. So a very comical situation is actually going on. Very funny situation. Now Trinculo has finished by saying, oh, defend me. And Stefano is commenting now because he has heard Trinculo's voice when Trinculo spoke up. So now Stefano is puzzled. 4 legs and 2 voices? A most delicate monster. It has 4 legs. It also has 2 different voices because earlier Caliban was speaking. Now Trinculo has spoken. Both are under the cloak. So who is exactly speaking? Must be Caliban the monster, who has 4 legs and now 2 voices also. And remember, Stefano is drunk, so he's not able to see things very properly because he is under the influence of liquor. He's intoxicated. So 4 legs and 2 voices. Oh, what a fine monster this is. Delicate means something extraordinary, exquisite. That means he says that It is really, really something extraordinary. That means he can make a lot of money. If he is able to take this monster all the way to Naples, like he's planning, if he can tame this monster and take this monster with him, then he thinks that he can make a whole lot of money. And then he comments, his forward voice now is to speak well of his friend, and his backward voice is to utter foul speeches and to detract. So one voice is talking in a very polite manner, in a very good sort of way, as if trying to say things which are good about his friend, whereas his backward voice or the other voice is speaking in a very nasty sort of manner, and the purpose of that voice is to abuse. So which voice is abusive? Actually, Stefano can hear first Caliban's voice, and now he has heard Trinculo's voice. So he thinks that Stefano, because Caliban was talking about, oh, don't torment me, prosperous spirits, etc., etc. So he thinks that that is a foul voice. And Trinculo's voice, because Trinculo was talking about his friend Stefano, so that is what Stefano considers as the good voice, well-wishing voice. So this monster has two voices. The first voice is something which talks well about his friend, and the second voice, or the backward voice, talks foul about various things and is abusive by nature. So according to, see, this is Stefano's observation, and he is all confused because of what he sees before him. Legs sticking out from two sides of the cloak. So it's a four-legged monster. It has two voices, and he has just poured some amount of drink into the mouth of the monster, which is Caliban's mouth, because Stefano and Trinculo and Caliban are lying on the ground opposite to each other. That means Trinculo's head is towards Caliban's legs, and Caliban's head is towards Trinculo's legs. And both their legs are sticking out of the cloak, because the cloak is only up to perhaps knee length. So legs are sticking out from one end and also from the opposite end. And somehow he heard Caliban speaking first, so he must have gone up to that portion of the cloak where Caliban's voice was coming from. He lifted the cloak and he saw one head, and that was Caliban's head. He poured some drink into the mouth of Caliban. But now from the opposite end, he hears another voice, and that is Trinculo's voice. So that is what creates all this confusion. Confusion for Stefano, but humor for the audience. This is a scene which you have to see being enacted on the stage, otherwise you won't understand the exact effect of this scene. Cannot be felt unless you actually see it happening with your own eyes. But you can imagine, for those of you who have imaginative power, who can imagine what I have explained just now, you should be able to understand what I meant. So he says that there are two voices. One voice is an abusive voice, another voice is a well-meaning voice. If all the wine in my bottle will recover him, I will help his illness. So I will be pouring, aug means illness. So he says, even if it means spending all the wine that is there in this bottle, and even if it means that I finish off my bottle of wine because of this monster, if he drinks it full, I don't mind, so long as he recovers from his illness. If he recovers, then he will be tame, and I will take him to Naples and make a lot of money by selling him. Come, he gives Caliban drink again. Amen, I'll pour some in thy other mouth. So, let it be so. Amen means let it be so. And here in this case it means that's enough. Okay, enough for that particular mouth. Amen, just as a Christian prayer ends with amen. So, amen means finished or ended. So, in this case it means that's enough. Now, I will pour some more of this wine into its other mouth, because this monster has two voices, that means two mouths. So now you can imagine Trinculo is on the other side, towards the leg side of Caliban. Now Stefano has already poured some wine into Caliban's mouth, and he's moving towards Caliban's legs, from where he has heard the voice of Trinculo, though he has not been able to recognize the voice, even though Trinculo has been able to recognize. Trinculo has been able to recognize because Trinculo is not drunk, but Stefano is drunk, so he's not been able to recognize his own companion's voice, his friend's voice. So he moves towards Caliban's legs, and there he lifts the cloak, and then he sees Trinculo there, because he wants to pour some wine into the other mouth of the monster. There is no other mouth. It's basically Trinculo hiding under the cloak of Caliban. And Trinculo says, Stefano! Trinculo is shocked when Stefano removes the cloak, and Trinculo's head comes out, and Trinculo looks at Stefano and he says, Stefano! He is exclaiming. You can see that exclamation there. And with that we move to page 71. Stefano says, Doth thy other mouth call me? Mercy, mercy, this is a devil and no monster. So Stefano is not able to recognize that it is actually his friend Trinculo. After having come into this island, everybody is scared. They think that there are devils all around, and now when he has heard Trinculo call out his name, he says, Is your other mouth calling out my name? Oh my goodness, mercy, mercy. Oh God, please have mercy on me, because this is not a monster. This is actually a devil. I am interacting with the devil. Otherwise, how is it possible that a monster in an alien island should know my name? I will leave him. I have no long spoon. I have to leave this fellow. I don't have a long spoon. Now here the reference is explained alongside. You can see Stefano now thinks that Caliban is not a monster but the devil himself. According to superstition, a long spoon could help a man to keep the devil away from himself. So that was the superstition in those times. Now why that superstition used to be there, please don't ask me, because I did not live in that age, but this was a superstition. Now this man is saying, Stefano is saying that I don't have a long spoon, therefore I cannot keep away the devil from me. But I don't want to go near him now. Now he has lost all hope about taming this monster and taking it to Naples. He knows that it is the devil. He thinks that it is the devil. He has therefore decided to change his opinion about what he should do with this monster. Now he does not think of him as a monster but as the devil. Now Trinculo, when he has seen Stefano, of course Trinculo is not drunk, so he is trying to make Stefano understand that he is really Trinculo. Let's see. Stefano, if thou beest Stefano, touch me and speak to me, for I am Trinculo. Stefano, because if you are really Stefano, then touch me so that I know that you are real and not a spirit. Because a spirit doesn't have a body, it only has an appearance, which is not true. So touch me so that I believe that I am really with you, because I am Trinculo. Be not afeared, thy good friend Trinculo. So as he tries to go near him, don't be afraid. I am really your good friend Trinculo, he says. Stefano says, if thou beest Trinculo, come forth, I'll pull thee by the lesser legs. If any be Trinculo's legs, these are they. Draws Trinculo out. If you are really Trinculo, then I will pull you out from where you are lying, and by means of your lesser legs in the sense the monster's legs are thick and heavy with scales on them, so you can easily make out which is a human leg and which is a monster's leg. So he says these legs must be yours, for I am sure these are your legs. I'll pull you out. He holds on to his two legs and he pulls him out of the cloak, from under the cloak of Caliban, draws Trinculo out. Thou art very Trinculo indeed. How camest thou to be here? Oh yes, you are really Trinculo, but how did you come here? Trinculo says, I took him to be killed with a thunderstroke. He's pointing at Caliban and saying, I thought this guy is dead. I thought this guy died because of a thunderbolt having hit him. Perhaps he was struck by a thunderbolt and he died. So I thought to take shelter the best place, because here there is no scope for taking shelter under any kind of bush or tree. So I decided to crawl under his cloak. He's explaining. But art thou not drowned, Stephano? But then, aren't you dead by drowning, Stephano? I thought you had died. I thought you had fallen into the sea and died by drowning. I hope now thou art not drowned. Is the storm overblown? I really hope that you were not really drowned, that you are really the Stephano standing before me, not your spirit. And is the storm already over? Has it passed? Overblown means has it passed? I hid me under the dead mooncalf's gabardine for fear of the storm. I tried to hide under the cloak of this deformed creature. Mooncalf is supposed to be a deformed creature who is, according to common belief of those times, who is born under the influence of the moon, and because of that he has some deformities. So in the olden times, when a child was born with certain physical deformities, it was believed by the people of those times, especially in England, in Shakespeare's time that is, that the child must have been under the influence of the moon, and that's the reason why the child has been born with deformities. And such children were called moon calves. So this moon calf, gabardine, refers to dress. You have come across this word before also in Merchant of Venice, where Shylock says that Antonio had the habit of spitting on his Jewish gabardine. So here again the same thing, it's a cloak. So he says that, well, I thought that this is a deformed creature, and I thought that he had been hit by a thunderbolt, and I saw the storm brewing, and I was scared, and I thought I should take shelter somewhere, and I saw this creature lying on the ground, and I crawled under his cloak. So, and art thou living, Stephano? Oh, Stephano, 2 Neapolitans escaped. And then tell me, Stephano, again he's asking, repeating the question, are you really alive, Stephano? Oh, Stephano, at least 2 of us are now alive from Naples. Neapolitan means people from Naples. In those times, Neapolitan. You have come across this term also in the Merchant of Venice, where one of Portia's suitors was a Neapolitan prince. So, Prince of Naples. So here he says now 2 of us from Naples have been saved or have survived the shipwreck. Stephano says, "Prithee, do not turn me about, my stomach is not constant." So actually what is happening is Trinculo is overexcited and he is holding on to Stephano by the shoulder maybe and turning him around, and he says, "I pray to you, don't turn me around suddenly like that, because my stomach, I have a terrible sensation, vomiting sensation. I can throw up, so please don't turn me around like that." Caliban says, in the meantime, he speaks aside. Caliban, who is listening to both Stephano and Trinculo, and he knows the human language because he has been taught by Prospero. So Caliban says, "These be fine things, and if they be not sprites, if they are not really spirits, these are fine creatures, and if they are not spirits sent by Prospero, there's a brave god and bears celestial liquor, I will kneel to him." He says these creatures are really fine, and I think they are not spirits sent by Prospero to torment me. And one of them is like a god for me because he carries with him a bottle of heavenly liquor. I will kneel before him. I will kneel before him and I will submit myself to him. See, Caliban is so interested in having drinks that he is ready to kneel before Stephano. Stephano says, "How didst thou escape? How camest thou hither? How did you manage to escape?" Escape what? Escape the shipwreck. Stephano is asking Trinculo, how did he manage to survive? How did you come here in this place? Swear by this bottle how thou camest hither. Swear in the name of this bottle. He holds up his wine bottle and he says, "Swear in the name of this liquor." See, Stephano is, always drunk. He loves to drink and always keeps drinking. He's always drunk, and for him, his bottle is his God. So instead of swearing by the holy book, instead of swearing in the name of God or in the name of heavens, he prefers swearing in the name of the liquor bottle. And he is asking Trinculo to do the same. He says, "Swear in the name of this bottle and tell me how did you come here." And he talks about how he managed to escape. He says, I escaped upon a butt of sack. Butt means a large barrel, cask. Here meaning is explained. Cask means barrel, wooden barrel. In the olden times, they used to keep wine in wooden barrels braced with iron. Okay, and then these barrels were kept in the cellar of, or maybe under the deck of the ship in case of ships. So there was this wooden barrel. Now wood floats in water and it was full of wine. So I managed to, when I fell into the water, I managed to escape in the wooden barrel. Now the question is, the shipwreck never took place. The question will automatically come to your mind, if the ship never disintegrated, if nobody really fell into the water, if the shipwreck never really happened, if all that was just an illusion created by Ariel, because Prospero had ordered him to create this illusion, then how come is this man talking about managing to escape from the shipwreck by taking a ride on a wooden barrel across the sea water and then finally reaching this island? Well, the simple reason is that he must have been drunk. So when he saw the illusion of the shipwreck, after that he imagined that he has actually survived because he took a ride on a wooden barrel and floated in the sea water till he reached the island. So that is what he's talking about here. The real truth is that they have all been brought upon the shore of this island by Ariel, because that is all part of Prospero's plan. So anyway, he is talking about his escape, and he says that I managed to escape by taking a ride on a wooden barrel of wine, which the sailors heaved overboard. So the sailors, or the mariners of the ship, they wanted to throw away whatever was heavy on board the ship so that the ship would not sink, to make it lighter so that it maintains itself upon the water. So it contains a lot of things. The ship generally has a lot of cargo. So they lighten the load so that the ship would stay afloat. So when the sailors threw this barrel into the seawater, I fell into the water and I held on to this wooden barrel and somehow survived. So all this is actually his imagination, nothing else. By this bottle, which I made of the bark of a tree with mine own hands since I was cast ashore. And this bottle, I made this bottle myself. I took the bark or the outer covering of a tree, the outer covering of the thick layer of, you can say the skin on the trunk of a tree is called the bark. So I peeled off some bark and I shaped it into a bottle. So this is a bottle I made myself. So how he did it, he only knows. So he says that I made a bottle out of wooden bark, and after I was cast ashore, after I reached the shore of this island, I made this bottle for myself because that big barrel of wine was with me. So I could pour out some amount of wine from the barrel into this bottle so that it becomes handy for me to consume. And now I'm drinking and roaming around, having a gala time by myself. So that is where we come to the end of page 71. Move on to page 72. Caliban says, I'll swear upon that bottle to be thy true subject, for the liquor is not earthly. I will swear in the name of that bottle of yours, the liquor which you have in this bottle is really something out of the place, out of this earth. It is a heavenly liquor. It is not earthly. Stephanus says, here, swear then how thou escapest. So Caliban is saying it. In the meantime, Stephanus says, here, now swear and tell me, how did you manage to escape the shipwreck? He is asking Trinculo. He has heard Caliban say this, but he is asking Trinculo. Now Trinculo says, swum ashore, man, like a duck. I can swim like a duck. I'll be sworn. So even he is telling a lie. These people are not really speaking the truth, because none of them have actually done what they are saying they have done. They have just imagined, or maybe somehow this is how their brain has imagined their survival because of the magic that was played upon them by Ariel. He says, I can swim like a duck. So when I fell into the water, I started swimming and I reached the shore of this island. So just like a duck, you know. Stephanus says, here, kiss the book. Now you are talking about kissing the book, refers to kissing the Holy Bible. But here he is offering the bottle and is saying, here, kiss the book. as if he was giving him the Bible to kiss. So one doesn't kiss a wine bottle, one kisses the Bible. But he is saying kiss the book, meaning to say drink some wine from this bottle. Though thou canst swim like a duck, thou art made like a goose. Though you cannot swim like a duck, you are at least made like a goose. And he gives a drink to Trinculo. Trinculo drinks. Now Trinculo says, oh Stefano, hast any more of this? Now Trinculo loves the drink. Just as Caliban had loved it, so also Trinculo enjoys drinking from this bottle. And he says, oh Stefano, do you have any more of this drink with you? And Stefano says, the whole but, man, my cellar is in the rock by the seaside, where my wine is hid. What are you saying more? I have the whole barrel with me. I have hidden it between some rocks near the seashore. So that is my cellar. Cellar means a storehouse for wine. So that is my cellar. And whenever I run out of wine in this bottle, I can go back and I can fill my bottle once again and then enjoy drinking. How now, mooncalf, how does thine egg? He says, now mooncalf, how is your fever? Have you recovered? Are you feeling better? He is asking Caliban. Caliban says, hast thou not dropped from heaven? Have you not dropped from heaven, from the sky? Haven't you come from the sky? You are a heavenly creature. You are probably a god, because the liquid which you have given me to drink was something celestial, something heavenly. Stefano says, out of the moon. I do assure thee, I was the man in the moon when time was. Oh yes, you are right. I came from the sky, no doubt. Actually, I used to live in the moon. You know the spots in the moon, it's commonly known as the man in the moon. So he says, I was that man in the moon, but now I am here on earth. He says, I have come down here on earth. So man in the moon, the mountain in the moon resembling a man with lantern, dog and bush. So that is the imagination, that is the Western imagination. Some say it is a rabbit, some say it's a old woman sitting with a spinning wheel, and in some cultures it is believed that it's a man in the moon. There's a man in the moon who holds a lantern and who has with him a dog, and there is a bush next to him. So he's walking through a bushy area. So that is the imagination. So he says, I was the man in the moon and my mistress. Okay, so then he says, I do assure you, I was the man in the moon when time was. So Caliban says, I have seen thee in her and I do adore thee. Oh yes, really, you are the man from the moon. I have seen you there. Everybody has seen that black shadow in the moon. So Caliban really believes Stefano's words. He says, I have seen you there. I used to see you and I used to admire you. My mistress showed me thee and thy dog and thy bush. Well, my mistress refers to Miranda. She had actually shown me the moon with the man in the moon, the shadow of the man in the moon, and the dog and the bush and the lantern. So all those things I have actually seen because my mistress had shown those to me. So I used to admire you, adore you. And then he says, well, then Stefano says, come, swear to that, kiss the book. I will furnish it anon with new contents. Come now, swear, therefore, that you have really seen me and admired me when you saw me in the moon. Now kiss the book. Again, he offers drink, this time to Stefano, asking him to drink. And he says, I will fill this bottle again with fresh contents once this is over. Like the bottle becomes empty, I'll go back to my cellar, which is between some rocks where I've kept the entire barrel of wine, and I'll fill it up again. So drink now. And he pours some more drink into Caliban's mouth. So he says, I will fill it with new contents. Swear in the sense drink, and pours drink into Caliban's mouth. So this is where we will stop. We have not exactly finished the page because there's one more line left in this page, but that cannot be started here. It has to be started in the next video. So because it continues on to the next page. So we'll finish here. This is line number 146 on page 72 of your textbook. So please mark up to this much. I hope it is clear to you. Please go through the text, and if necessary, you can play and listen to my explanation once again. Play this video and listen to my explanation once again. So that's it for now. Thank you so much.